Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Force here, covering new PC releases for the week of April 15th to the 21st. Starting on Monday, April the 15th, we saw the release of La-Mulana. This is a 2D Metroidvania-style platformer where you play as an archaeologist searching for an ancient mystery. The game was known for being extremely difficult and also for lacking player guidance. It originally released as freeware back in 2005 for the PC. A remake has now made its way onto the PC, and I guess they've just updated some things, I suppose. That is available for $14.99 now via Steam. Also on Monday, we saw the release of Orion and Dino Horde, but it's kind of not really a release. It's basically a re-release of an updated version of Orion Dino Beatdown, which is a sci-fi co-op shooter where you and your friends get to fend off waves of dinosaurs with jetpacks, invisibility, and healing, different classes in the game. So they've added a few new maps and game modes along with some improvements, and the game is actually free to anyone who already owns Orion Dino Beatdown. But the reason that is because this shouldn't really be a re-release. In my opinion, this should be an update or a patch or maybe DLC for the game. But the fact that they're trying to rename it and resell it, it's kind of crappy. I don't know. I mean, I guess it's just weird. It's weird, and I think the major reason he's doing this is because opinion of Orion Dino Beatdown was terrible. The game got a terrible reviews across the board, also had a terrible Metacritic score, and I really think they're just doing this to try to put out something with a new name that's basically just a slightly updated version of a game that had terrible reviews. I mean, to be perfectly honest, in my opinion, it's kind of slimy, and for that reason alone, you probably shouldn't pick up the game. Plus, it's not even very good, so spend your $15 elsewhere. Coming out on Tuesday, April the 16th, we saw Dishonored's The Knife of Dunwall DLC. In that, players take the role of Dowd, the legendary assassin who killed the Empress at the start of Dishonored. So what that means is you get to play the game from his perspective with new levels, weapons, gadgets, allies, and abilities. Pretty cool if you ask me. I heard the DLC runs between 4 to 6 hours. I've spent about 2 hours with it. That is available for $9.99. On Wednesday, today, April the 17th, Sacred Citadel comes out, something that kind of took me by surprise. This is a side-scrolling beat-em-up that is the most recent entry in the Sacred franchise. Now, the game is actually meant as a prequel to Sacred 3 and features 4 character classes, 3-player co-op, and randomized loot. There's local and online gameplay. The game has 4 different chapters or acts, and I think there's about 5 levels for each one of those, at least there is in the first act. This took me by surprise because it's pretty fun, to be honest with you. It's coming in at $14.99. It's, I think, a game that could be really cool for an afternoon with you and your friends. Unfortunately, there's no 1920 by 1080 resolution setting. We got there's 1280 by 720. There was also 1600 by 900, but yeah, it was just weird that that wasn't an option. But I guess it's not that weird because this is also, I guess, primarily a downloadable title for Xbox and PlayStation, but it's also available now on the PC. But yeah, after checking out this game, I have to say I'm going to give it my thumbs up. You may want to wait for a sale. $14.99 may be a bit much for the content that it has to offer, but if you've got a little bit of extra cash in your pocket and you and your friends want to play a game for the weekend or afternoon, I think this one might be worth checking out. On Thursday, April the 18th, we're seeing the release of Papo Yo. This is a story-driven puzzle game that is actually supposed to be a metaphor for addiction and escapism. The game is an allegory for the life of its creative director, Vander Caballero, I'm terrible at pronouncing names, who grew up with an alcoholic father. Now, that's deep. I mean, that is really, really deep. Now, looking at reviews, in terms of the game itself, it kind of got mediocre reviews, but the fact that it's telling such a mature story, I think for that reason alone, I'm going to have to give this game a look. You know, growing up with an alcoholic father, I can only imagine how difficult that must have been, and the fact that he's being so transparent about that being the inspiration for this game, I think that's really cool. So I definitely want to give this game a look, and I will be doing so. That will be available for $14.99. And then Friday, we've got a couple games coming out on Friday, April the 19th. Firstly, there is God Mode, a fast-paced third-person shooter set in the afterlife. The game features RPG elements in the form of character upgrades and gear, and it also has a completely over-the-top announcer. I am super excited to look at this game. It just looks nuts. It looks absolutely bonkers. God Mode will be available for $9.99. And then also on Friday, we have got Eador, Masters of the Broken World. This is a turn-based strategy game that is actually the sequel to Eador Genesis. The series is inspired by titles such as Age of Wonders and Heroes of Might and Magic, so if you like those two franchises, you might like Eador as well. That will be coming in for $19.99. I might be giving it a look. The thing with this type of a game is it takes a lot of time to get into, and I don't know if I'll be able to do that this weekend or on Friday, but if I do, it probably won't be coming out Friday. It'll probably be coming out Saturday or Sunday if I end up taking a look at Eador, but at least you guys now know it exists, and it is available for $19.99. And that is going to do it for new PC releases for this week. Let's go ahead and talk about my planned content. So I've already done a video for Orion, Dino, Horde, which you shouldn't get. I also covered Dishonored DLC, which I love Dishonored, so maybe you should get it if you want for $9 or $10 rather, if you want another 4 to 6 hours of content. And then I will be covering Sacred Citadel. That video should actually be coming up just before this one does. Big surprise, I really liked it. And then coming up this week, we've got a video coming for Papo Yo, just because it's got such a mature story that I'd love to explore. A video for God Mode because it looks like insane good fun, and then potentially a video for Eador. I also had some footage left over from the last Neverwinter beta weekend, so I'll be coming out with some more videos. I've got actually some recorded footage of one of the mid-level 30 dungeons I'd like to show you guys. And then I'm really excited to tell you also that I got permission from the developer to actually post footage of Company of Heroes 2. The bad news is I'm terrible at the game. I didn't play the original Company of Heroes. I'm sort of learning the ropes right now. I actually spent most of yesterday trying to figure things out. So once I feel like I've got a really clear idea of how the game is played, I'll be doing some video coverage of that. And then, of course, we've got Friday Night Magic and the Force feed coming out. And also, in terms of the Elder Scrolls Online podcast, that is being put on hiatus for now. There's really just not a lot going on, and there's not a ton for us to talk about. I think once the beta starts up and the NDA is lifted, I'd like to continue it, but for now, it is going to be put on hold. All right, guys, that'll do it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you like the content, please subscribe, and as always, keep watching and keep owning.